Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of the FQ Show. I'm joined here by Kate Lawson from our participation team, the manager of participation for Women Girls, here to chat about a new initiative that we're rolling out over the coming months called Be23Ready. Kate, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here and chat about this today. I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Yeah.
So this is something that's come about for the fact that it's 1 year to go for the Women's World Cup. And exciting times all around for that, and the build up to that, how good?
Yeah, it's once in a lifetime. Hey, I think being able to host the World Cup here in Australia and New Zealand is just incredible. It's a wonderful opportunity, and really excited to obviously watch a bunch of matches and to see our football community get involved, as well as the wider community. I think that's the most exciting part. Like when an event like this comes to our shores, I think it sparks that excitement in people that aren't necessarily involved. So that's really exciting too, to get that extra exposure. So yeah, lots to look forward to.
Yeah, and of course, like the fans coming from overseas as well to experience that culture and experience our Australian culture, which is just fantastic. Like I, for one, was in France. I was lucky enough to be in France for the 2019 World Cup, and just to go around to all the group stage matches and the build up to that. Like we'd go to the local pub, and all the Aussies would just descend on that one pub, and so I know that a lot of the other countries will do much the same, and the environment and the excitement that creates will be amazing.
Yeah, it'll be buzzing, and I think Queensland is a massive sporting state, and so I think the atmosphere will be pretty electric, and hopefully can replicate some of those experiences that you had. And I think with group stage matches being played here in Brisbane, and with Brisbane Stadium hosting at least one Matildas game, there's it's going to be so exciting, and hopefully big boost in tourism. There's lots of advantages to it, so it'll be great to see lots of people here and enjoying it.
Yeah. So obviously the main reason you're here today is to talk about an initiative that we're rolling out over the coming months called Be23Ready, part of the Football Australia's wider Our Game rollout. Can you tell us and the fans here a little bit more about what that's involved and how it came to fruition and all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a really exciting process. So obviously, Football Australia have come out with Legacy 23 and Our Game, which are brilliant campaigns that really focus on the World Cup and what's happening around it, and the legacy and ongoing legacy that we can leave behind after that. So Be23Ready is a part of that here in Queensland, and what we're doing is making sure that our clubs are equipped and ready to, deal with the growth that the World Cup is going to bring. We really want to leverage this event and leverage this opportunity to boost participation. Be23Ready is all about supporting our clubs in that respect. Yeah.
It's been a little over 2 years since that late in the evening when it was announced that Australia and New Zealand would be hosting that World Cup, and the footage of JJ and a few of the Matildas girls all there sort of celebrating just what that meant was such a big occasion. We've already seen some good growth over the last 2 years in those spaces, particularly in the mini-roos and juniors section. What do you anticipate being the highest sort of driver of growth or area to drive growth in?
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned before, using the World Cup to leverage that interest of people that aren't necessarily already engaged in the sport is going to be really exciting. So there's sort of two factors to that. We want to make sure that we do boost participation and we do see more girls and women playing football, but also making sure that we retain them. That's really key. So ensuring that our club environments are safe and inclusive, that our infrastructure and facilities are equipped to be inclusive as well, and for people from all walks of life. So hopefully we do see that boost, and from my perspective, I think we focus on both our leadership and representation. So making sure that our young girls can see themselves moving into playing football as adults. We do see a massive dropout at that 16s and 12s are those key dropout ages, and so I think if we can make sure that there's lots of adults in different roles across football, whether it be playing, managing, club presidents, administration, CEOs, it's so important, because then our young girls can see themselves being a part of the game for a really long time, rather than just a kickabout, while they're, for 1 year or two. Yep. So it's that longevity as well. And And then again, focusing on our young ones. So sort of having that top down, bottom up approach. So that representation, but then also focusing on getting as many young girls and that mini Roos age playing as possible. The more girls that we see there, the bigger the sport's going to be, hopefully the less dropout that we see as well. And then, looking at that retention. So making sure that our environments are like safe and inclusive so that we don't see that dropout.
Yeah, fantastic. So this initiative or campaign that we're rolling out, what are the key pillars that underpin that? We've obviously talked about the participation component of that, but there are a few others as well.
Yeah, that's right. So there's 4 pillars: participation, which we've just touched on. It's also club environments, infrastructure and facility, and leadership and representation. So I've sort of touched on a few of them there, but we dive in pretty deep to each of those, and there's some key campaign tools that fit in. And again, it's all about supporting clubs. So looking at how clubs can grow their participation, improve those club environments, improve their infrastructure and facilities, and the leadership and representation, and giving them really tangible resources, I guess, and support is the biggest thing to get them there and show them how to improve in those areas.
Yeah. So what are some of these sort of key tools that clubs can use to start this journey and in improving their women and girls space?
So the first one is that we're trying to encourage clubs to appoint a women and girls ambassador. So we know that there's many clubs across our state that already have someone in a role that's specific to growing and supporting female football. But we want to make sure that, as many clubs as possible have someone in this space. It's such an important role to take on. And so with that in mind, we're reaching out to our football community, to anyone that is interested in building the women and girls game at their club, and asking them to fill out an expression of interest to become a women and girls ambassador specifically for the Be23Ready campaign. Yep. So that person's role would be to engage with some of these resources that I'll touch on in a minute, as well as be that key driver within clubs. So we're taking those expression of interests as Football Queensland and then passing them on to the clubs, and essentially going, hey, you've got all of these people that are interested. Can you pick a representative, to take on this role? But hey, you might have 9 other applications. Yeah. These people can form your working group. You've got 9 passionate people that really want to be a part of that. And as I said, those people might already be in a women and girls coordinator role, or the technical director of the club, or the club president. There's someone already that's passionate in that area. But we also want to appeal to our mums and dads that are interested in growing female football and say, hey, this is something that you could step into and take on. Yeah. And that's really exciting as well. So we're hoping that we get lots of expressions of interest and can pass those on to the clubs and potentially see some of the clubs that haven't dipped their toe into that area start to make these steps and changes towards focusing on gender equity.
Yeah, fantastic. And one of the things that the clubs can do is go through like a self-assessment, using our self-assessment tool to sort of see to get a realistic view of how the club is tracking and possible areas of identification as to where they need to improve and that sort of stuff. How can clubs get involved with that?
Yeah, so once we've gone through the process of finding these club ambassadors, the club ambassador and potentially the club president, someone from the board, would be responsible for engaging with this club assessment tool. Now, again, it is not, we're not just passing it on and leaving them to it. It's a very collaborative process with myself and some of the other team here from Football Queensland, where we work through it together, and it is a bit of a reflection on their current state, looking at numbers and data, and I guess how to pull that data and then use data to inform decision making. Yep. I'll give an example for that, where we might see at a club, we might be pulling in 100 girls every year, but we're seeing 70 drop out every year. So our turnover is really high. So then we'd be able to look at that and go, okay, we've got really good recruitment strategies. There's, potentially our marketing and promotion is really good. Our fees might be really competitive, but why aren't they staying? And what can we address in that space? Our retention isn't good. And so we'd then be able to provide that club with feedback to go, hey, this is where we need to look together.
Things you can do that
exactly.
Can help
and we give them those strategies and tools as well. So it's a really comprehensive comprehensive document, but not too complex to fill out. And again, as I said, we sort of step through that with the clubs. And yeah, it looks, again, those four key campaign pillars are what the club assessment resource is broken down into. So participation, club environments, infrastructure and facility, and leadership and representation. Another example of one of those questions would be within the infrastructure and facilities, we know that there's so many clubs across our state that need a complete overhaul of their facilities. It's a massive issue. They're not inclusive, but not everyone's going to get a government grant like that. You know, how nice would it be for everyone to get like a cute little $1 million bucks? Yeah, exactly.
I know that my club for one is definitely one that needs it.
But, exactly. And you know, we've got, again, Football Australia have the fantastic Equaliser campaign that's focusing on that. And we will be giving clubs support in terms of how to apply for grants, how to, lobby for that money with their governments. But we're also realistic in understanding that this isn't a short-term solution. That's a long-term solution. So we provide clubs with some of those short-term solutions. Cubicled showers is a big one. Some of our older clubs and change rooms have those wide open showers, which is not particularly, inclusive. And so how to separate them, a short-term cheap solution is popping up shower curtains. Even doing that would show like a club's female members, hey, we're thinking about you. We understand that this isn't okay and we want to address this in the short term. So we're providing all of these sort of questions and answers, but then support in terms of, okay, if that's not good enough, that's okay. How can we help you? This is an idea. Let's work together on this. So that club assessment piece is really exciting. Yeah,
that's awesome. And then like going back to the participation elements of it and like really driving the, I suppose, all levels of participation. What are some of the key programs that are going to be rolled out as part of this initiative?
Yeah, so we've I've touched on these a few times. I think I might have had a chat to you about them on the last show that I was on, and so I won't go into too much depth. But there's basically a range of flexible formats of football for women and girls to engage in, to I guess understand that there are different needs and wants within our community and making sure that we adjust to those. So we're looking at, a mini Rouge program that we've already rolled out in Southeast Queensland that has been really successful, where we work with schools and clubs to connect them so that there's that pathway from school football into club football. We've got Girls United, which is a really brilliant program that we've seen great success with in Central Queensland and Southeast Queensland as well. And we're hopefully kicking some off up north as well in our northern region, which is really, really cool. And Girls United, is that social flexible format. So where we look at, time commitments and that traditional format of training game, 11-a-side football, it doesn't suit everybody. So it's finding those different options, and Girls United sort of slots in there. We've got a soccer mums program where we run it in parallel to junior training sessions, a leadership program where, again, it's focusing on participation and leadership, two of those key pillars, where we're looking at upskilling our 12 to 16-year-old girls in particular with engaging in refereeing and coaching to fall in love with the game in more ways.
Different facets of the game.
Exactly. And obviously in those ages, people, or young girls and boys as well, like start to get part-time jobs and things like that. And some interests may, move away from the game. But if we can show them that there are those avenues within sport and within football, then hopefully they engage in more than one way, stay in the game for longer. And so there's lots of great flexible participation programs that are being rolled out that will continue to develop as we work with our clubs in terms of what works and what needs to change. It's all in it together, I guess.
And you're also going to be racking up some Ks on the road as well, traveling up and down the states. You mentioned that Central was doing well in the Girls United space, and up north they're just about to roll out their Girls United program. So whereabouts are you going planning to at this stage get to on the road trip?
I want to go everywhere. I want to hit as many towns as possible. But the road trip is really exciting, and that opportunity to get out to our clubs in person. Obviously we have representatives in our regions, which is fantastic, and they do an amazing job. And I guess it's about getting out there from us here at HQ and going and engaging with the clubs as well. So the road trip will include some gender equity training, which is really exciting. We as a staff, when we actually formulated Be23Ready, what we first did was go through some gender equity training, which was just brilliant and super eye-opening and stimulated some really interesting discussions. And I think there's a long way to go in terms of gender equity and the attitudes and values and beliefs that many people still hold. And so the gender equity training is about getting out to our audience, to our clubs, and upskilling them and educating them in gender equity. And it's really exciting. So we're in the planning process of that. No specific locations locked in, but it will be a statewide initiative. So we'll be traveling far and wide, and I'm really looking forward to having a chat with lots of different people from clubs and hopefully changing a few hearts and minds and making that impact. We know that not everyone's at the same stage in this journey. So if I can go and change the mind of someone that, thinks that the girls should be training on the bottom paddock because that's how it's always happened, and, and we start to open eyes and change some of those attitudes, that'd be really exciting. So, the gender and equity is part of that. We're also, we'll use it to support the clubs through that assessment tool. So it's an opportunity to have a bit of back and forth and actually chat to them, find out what's going on. So that's brilliant. And there'll also be an opportunity to run some of those participation programs, showcase how they can run, work with clubs to go, hey, this works, this doesn't, awesome, how can we change it to suit you? And give a bit of an example there. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So this initiative is getting rolled out as we shoot today on the Wednesday. Where can people go to find out more information on this and sign up as a club ambassador and get that club resource, the assessment resource? Where do they go?
It's all on our website. So in the clubs section of our website, which is really great. So we're definitely at the moment, our massive call to action is definitely, if you are passionate about women and girls football, please head there and express your interest as a Women and Girls Ambassador. There's lots of exciting things to come on there. One of our other campaign tools that I almost didn't touch on actually is the webinar series.
Of course, yeah.
So that's going to line up with, again, those 4 pillars, and they'll all be available on the website as we roll them out. So it's going to be a long process across the next year. There's lots of exciting bits and pieces to it. So the webinars will launch and be available online pretty soon as well, where we, again, supporting the clubs through that checklist, a really collaborative process, highlighting some of the clubs that are doing a really good job, discussing it with clubs that might be struggling, how we can better provide support. And those webinar topics will be flexible, where if we're finding that there is a trend, hey, we're really struggling with this element of it, then we can do a webinar on it and have a chat. So it's all very interactive. The website is definitely your best point of call to begin with, or drop me an email. My email is there as well. Always happy to chat with clubs and discuss this and grow it and develop it. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, we've got a very good year ahead coming up for us in the women and girls space. So exciting times ahead there. Also as well, the Matildas are coming playing in Brisbane as well very soon. The first early in September.
Early September. Very exciting. First time in a few years that they've been here. So really excited for that. We'll have lots of activations going on in line with that as well, with 600 juniors jumping out on the field and lots going on. So it's all very exciting, and of course the Socceroos coming up quite shortly after, which is in the holidays, which is fantastic. So lots of good things happening in the football space here in Brisbane at the moment. It's very exciting.
Well, thanks for catching up with me today, Kate. It was really informative and really cool to be able to see what clubs and the local community can do to really support the women and girls space and the growth there. So thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been fun. Well, that wraps up this week's episode of the show. So as Kate said, head to our website and check out the Be23Ready section for all that good stuff. Till next time. See you later.